promise my original and remake Black Christmas reviews are coming. I just pushed them back to this weekend to make room for a surprise guest. Also, this review is brought to you by the cool, refreshing taste of cinnamon Coca-Cola. Please pay me money.
Tell me more about these meat cravings.
It's not just the meat, it's the blood.
Rabid is a remake of the 1977 David Cronenberg film, this time directed by Jen and Sylvia, the directors of films like American Mary and Dead Hooker in the Trunk. It stars Laura Vandervoort as Rose, a young fashion designer who gets into a disfiguring car accident, only to undergo experimental stem cell surgery that fixes her face but comes at a pretty extreme price. Anytime the words remake and Cronenberg are uttered, the feeling is extreme apprehension. Cronenberg is a masterclass of body horror, especially at the peak of his career, so to remake anything of his is kind of a huge undertaking. But the Soska sisters are a pair of extremely talented filmmakers who I love not only as artists but also as people. And this was a clear passion project for them, so I had pretty high hopes for it. And honestly, my hopes weren't misplaced, because Rabid 2019 is a film that I dare say I prefer to the original. Now, I'll preface my thoughts by saying that the original Rabid is not one of my favorite Cronenberg films. It's not bad by any means, it's fine, but for me it kind of stops at fine. But what the Soskas did is update a serviceable film with contemporary ideas, a unique vision, and a whole lot more depth than could be found in the original. And I just feel it worked a lot better. Visually, this film just feels like a more fully realized vision to me. It feels like a Soska project. Equal parts stylish and grimy with this digital steeliness to it that makes it all feel a lot more real. The lighting in this movie is incredible. It captures that seedy LA underbelly, but it manages to make it feel beautiful at the same time. But that beauty doesn't detract or stop them from going crazy into full-on balls-to-the-wall body horror. And this movie does not shy away from that with some really glorious practical effects. Rose's face is fucked up after the accident, and it's just horrifying and sad and real, and it makes the movie feel so much more impactful because it's all done practically. And as the movie goes on and that outbreak spreads, the film starts highlighting those practical effects more and more until it gets to this insanely over-the-top climax that showcases that shit in all its glory. Especially once the weird armpit penis tentacles start flailing around. Sidebar here for a second, but it is an absolute joy to see my buddy Twisty Troy getting impaled through the face/throat with a weird armpit penis needle. Now let's talk about Rose for a second, because she is the main character and Laura Vandervoort does a fantastic job as her. But I really want to give praise to the writing in this movie, because Rose as a character is just so much more fleshed out and developed than she was in the original film. She has her own agency, she's a vegetarian, she's compassionate, she dreams of being a successful fashion designer. As opposed to the original Rose, who just kind of screamed and seduced guys. There was a similar theme about, sexual repression and releasing one's true, hungry self, but this movie just explores it a lot better and makes it feel a lot more real. We get to see more of Rose before the accident here. We get to see her friendships, her relationships, so that when the shift in her personality does come after she undergoes the procedure, it feels a lot more dynamic. And I also want to say that I surprisingly loved Rose's friend Chelsea in this film, serving as a replacement for her sister in the original, who was barely a character. Chelsea's loving and supportive toward Rose. She's a little vapid at times, sure, but she's always well-meaning and serves as a really good friend, and it's nice in this movie to see a relationship like that. The Soskas play with a lot of really cool ideas in this film, especially those involving gender dynamics and rebuilding/rebranding oneself based on the death of the old, which is both extremely welcome and works in a meta sense as well, because this movie is essentially a rebranding/rebuilding of old material, welcoming in a new transgressive take that just works better in my opinion. Now, it's not a perfect film, but honestly all my flaws are pretty inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Really small gripes, mainly in that I could have used more gross mouth foam or more weird flailing penis tentacles, because let's be real, you could never have enough weird flailing penis tentacles from people's armpits. Also, for a movie called Rabid, the actual outbreak doesn't get a lot of focus in comparison to Rose's story. Although I suppose that's kind of a welcome trade-off. The original focused so much more on the boyfriend and the outbreak that Rose wasn't even really a character at all. Here, it's the opposite. We don't get a lot of focus on the outbreak or the boyfriend character, but in return we get a much more three-dimensional Rose. And that's something I'll take. The ending also does feel a little bit rushed to me. It goes straight from the climax into this just full-on balls-to-the-wall what the fuck moment that I get what the film was going for. I just wish it had a little more time to be fleshed out. It does provide you with some insane body horror, though, that I do absolutely have to appreciate, even if it did come out of left field. All that being said, though, I really dug this movie. The Soskas have talked about revamping Dead Ringers next, and honestly, I would kill to see that. I'm truly thrilled that they managed to do so well with this one, and I can't wait to see what they do next. I'm gonna say that Rabid is solid. It's not my favorite of the Soskas' works, that title still goes to American Mary, but it's a stylish, welcome revamp on a Cronenberg film where an update was actually welcome. And I seriously got to applaud the sisters for delivering. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, click down there, like, comment, subscribe. There's a Patreon link down in the description if you want to consider donating to it. I would really appreciate it. You could be like all these cool people right here. I've got some new reward tiers coming out in the new year, and I'm really excited to let you all see them because I think you're gonna really, really appreciate it. So please consider donating. Even $1 would help, but even if you don't, thank you so much for watching anyway, and I'll see you all very soon.
How's your appetite?